Day Washington. After my little chat with Al Gore about his new movie, An Inconvenient Sequel, I got to sit down with some of the brains and creativity behind the movie. The co-directors, Bonni, Cohen, and Shenk. They're a husband and wife team with an accolade of heavy-duty degrees.
All right, you two, what's the biggest and best takeaway from Stanford? Was it your spouse or your degree?
Oh my gosh.
Definitely spouse.
Yes.
Really? But
Stanford documentary program, the best dating site in the world.
Is that how you guys
They've
met?
got an avocado court out there that's just, you know, once you enter it, it's sort of like a magic force field. You're done.
Were you excited about his Yale degree, this previous Yale degree? Is that
Of course. I was more excited that he was 4 years younger than me.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a little baby.
Exactly.
Good for you. So you guys have been working together a little bit.
I mean, I think probably Participant Media looked to us as a potential directing team for this film because of The Island President, which was a previous film that John had directed and I produced back in 2012. The climate crisis takes a lot, you know, it's a learning curve. There's a lot to know, there's a lot to learn, and we had a real leg up because we had already been in the space for a long time.
You know, we followed Nasheed to the Copenhagen Climate Conference in 2009. In this film, the exciting climax happens behind the scenes during the Paris Climate Accord, where for the first time, after decades of work at the UN level, the international community decided to sign this pact and go ahead with the solutions to the climate crisis, which has been, you know, brewing, as we know, for so many decades.
You guys were aware, obviously, of the climate crisis. What have you learned? What did you learn that really surprised you in this movie?
Well, you know, the climate-related natural events have gotten a lot worse than they were 10 years ago when the first film was made, An Inconvenient Truth. And while we sort of knew it intellectually, to come face to face with it and meet climate refugees and be with the scientists who are studying this, as Al Gore moved around the world to collect information for his slideshow, we became keenly aware that things have gotten a lot worse. But the bigger difference from 10 years ago is that all the solutions are in place now to solve the climate crisis. We can actually act in a way now that we couldn't a decade ago to join the alternative energy revolution, the sustainable energy revolution. All the cost down curves for both solar and wind are in place for us all as a world community to move on this. It's just a question of how quickly we do it and make the turnover.
You've been behind the camera a good time in your career. What were you thinking about the shots that we're seeing in this movie?
Yeah, I shot a great deal of the film, and Bonni and I co-directed. It was an amazing experience. You know, we were with Al Gore in Greenland. This man has been studying climate science and climate change for his entire career since he was in college. And to be with him, getting information from the scientists who study the ice sheets as the ice is melting and the glaciers are calving was an incredibly emotional experience. Greenland is one of the wonders of the world, just incredible beauty. But at the same time, you see the impact that mankind has had because of the warming atmosphere, and it's literally falling apart. So that was a very emotional moment. Combined with, you know, just sort of a natural beauty moment to be out in the world photographing Al Gore out there.
That's some incredible shots, and the water is just, I don't know if it's blue, it's not blue, but it looks blue against those beautiful glaciers. And there's one where there's a chasm or something, and the blue water is just going right down in this channel. Did you try and taste that? I'm trying to think, what does that taste like? I mean, it's got to...
We actually took some of the ice back to the hotel and had some drinks with it.
Is that right?
Because it had kind of fallen off and it was sitting there, and we thought the same thing as you. You know, this is the purest, you know, oldest ice we'll ever encounter. So it tastes pretty good.
It was actually an amazing experience. You know, we stepped off the helicopter there, and you realize right away that you're highly vulnerable because
you don't know where to walk.
In the film, the scientist tells Al it's like walking on Swiss cheese. You know, there's holes that have been punctured. Little black particles get into the snow, soot from the atmosphere, and then that collects heat from the sun, and then it starts to melt, and so it kind of bores down into the ice sheet.
And you don't know how far down the holes go.
And of course, it's like an abyss. It's seemingly endless. And so we said to Connie, the scientist, you know, what do we do? How do we walk on this? He said, maybe best to put your feet where I put my feet.
And John's being modest, but he shot this whole film, all the beauty in the film he captured, and in Greenland, we had to actually take a screw, an ice screw, and screw it into the ice and attach John by rope and harness so that he could lean over that moulin safely. And it was actually a moment where Al Gore was really concerned.
Yeah, I saw. He's on camera saying, "Oh, can I walk this way?"
Yeah,
the guy goes, "No, don't walk that way." He's putting himself in a little bit of peril.
Oh no, it was dangerous out there. It looks very serene, but it's hard to know how to behave. We were with the top glaciologist probably in the world, and I wouldn't advise going there without him.
There you go, An Inconvenient Sequel. It's out in theaters this Friday, July 28th. I'll
Good
get you some
chat.
tickets. Yeah, I got some good people here. Well, from the documentary world to Hollywood.